Hello, and welcome to the Herbal Mana podcast, where we explore how to hurt less and live more. I'm the CEO of Herbal Mana. My name is Todd Bailey, and today I want to dive into some natural solutions for handling pain and inflammation. In particular, I want to dive into DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, and how to apply DMSO. And this little known molecule is pretty awesome. It's derived from wood. It's all natural. It's in the sulfur family, and it's just plain awesome. It's been a real game changer for inflammation relief for me for years. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for natural solutions. It's versatile, effective, and packed with all sorts of benefits. Today, what I want to talk about in particular is how to apply DMSO for optimal results. DMSO is awesome because you can apply it topically, and it's going to get absorbed. Among other things, among its other awesome properties, is transdermal. It's going to means it's going to pass through the skin, right into the other layers of the skin. This has multiple layers, and into the underlying tissue, and it can affect the joints, the muscles. It's just awesome. But you need to know how to get it applied properly. It's not so awesome if you don't know how to get it in the right place. First of all, it is transdermal, like I mentioned, which means it's going to pass through your skin and it's going to take other stuff with it. So we want to make sure that we're getting everything ready before we apply DMSO. See, DMSO is an incredible carrier. It's going to enhance absorption of everything. When you mix it with something and apply the DMSO, it's going in. Also, if there's something on your skin, maybe you've been working on the car and you've got some oil on your hands, by golly, that's possibly going in too. So start by washing your hands and the area you're treating. Got to make sure that you're getting all of the good stuff absorbed and nothing else. Remember, cleanliness is a key part of this pain-free additive, this DMSO. It's great. Now, it is easily absorbed, so let's be careful. Make sure you get everything clean. Also, do a little patch test. If you're using a DMSO gel or cream or even a liquid, do a little test. I like to test it on my forearm. It's a nice sensitive area, maybe a little dime-sized area. You might experience a little bit of warmth. That's normal, especially when DMSO is mixed with water, because DMSO interacts with water. It releases a little bit of heat when it does that. You also might feel a little bit of itching or tingling. That's normal. You just don't want too much itching or tingling. If you get too much, then you might need to mellow the DMSO just a little bit. If you're putting DMSO 100% strength right onto your arm, actually anywhere on your body, you're probably going to get some real itching, tingling, some discomfort, some redness. You don't want to use 100% DMSO on your skin. Oh, by the way, let me make sure I make a little distinction here. By 100%, I mean the DMSO is not diluted with anything else that you're putting on at the same time. DMSO itself needs to be pure. You want good, pure pharmaceutical grade DMSO, which is 99.995% pure. That other tiny little bit on the end there after the 995, that's just a tiny bit of water. That's okay. But as far as applying it, you don't want to apply 100% DMSO in liquid form to your skin. That will cause some real irritation. So got to figure out a way to mellow it. There are lots of ways to mellow it. Now, we do that with some of our products. You can do the same thing with aloe vera gel, for instance. Just make sure it's pure aloe vera gel. If you go buy aloe vera in the suntan section of Walgreens, you can find a bunch of aloe veras that can sit on the shelf for days, weeks, months, because the aloe vera has a whole bunch of preservatives and other crap that you don't want to have penetrating your skin. If you're going to use aloe vera, you want pure, clean aloe vera. So whatever it is you're mixing it with, just make sure that you're doing it with something that you want to be absorbed into your body. Also, you can mellow the absorption of aloe vera with other oils. You can use jojoba or a carrier oil like fractionated coconut oil. There are lots of things you can do to mellow the absorption and also to moisturize your skin just a little bit while you're doing it. Now, if your skin does get a little bit irritated, don't panic. It'll probably pass in a few minutes. If it persists into the area really well, let it dry. You can also mellow it with a little bit of oil. Make sure it's an oil that you don't mind having absorbed, and that's okay. Now, the reason you get that little bit of irritation, the main problem is DMSO grabs onto water molecules. If you leave DMSO open, if you have a nice, brand new pharmaceutical grade jar of DMSO, you open the cap, you smell inside, and it smells okay, that's normal. Leave the cap off all night, and a couple of things will happen. First, if you look really closely at the level of DMSO before you go to bed and then check again in the morning, you're going to see that it is just slightly more full, because DMSO will bind with water molecules right out of the air, binds with water molecules, and that gets combined with the DMSO. That's the first thing. The second thing is when DMSO binds with a little bit of water, it gives off a garlicky smell. Not a problem. There's nothing wrong with your DMS. That's just a normal part of the reaction or the interaction, water and DMSO. DMSO is in the sulfur family. So that smell, it's kind of a sulfury, garlicky sort of smell. And that's very, very normal. Also, kind of a side note, if you're buying DMSO and somebody says it is odorless, well, it may be mostly odorless until you start to use it, and then it won't be odorless. If they say in their advertising it's odorless and you get the impression that it's going to stay odorless, not the case. It's just not how DMSO works. All right, so you've cleaned the area, you're ready to put this on, this DMSO. When you put the DMSO on, if you're using your hands, make sure your hands are clean. But you can also use a cotton ball, a cotton pad, something like that, something natural, a naturally occurring fiber. You don't want to use something that is plastic or nylon or some synthetic, because DMSO will dissolve many of those plastics. It's a solvent. Well, just like water. Water is the universal solvent, so don't be alarmed that it's a solvent. Okay, once you put the DMSO on, let it dry. If it's just DMSO, if you're just diluting maybe with distilled water, it's going to be absorbed. It's going to be dry in a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Depending on what else you mix with it, it may take a little longer. If I have, well, actually one of our Herbal Mana products, like Royal Warrior, that has some other creams and oils that I want as part of the DMSO when I'm putting it on. It'll take a little longer because those oils and creams also need to be absorbed so everything feels dry. So it could take just a little longer. Okay, also, when you're putting on the DMSO or the product containing the DMSO, no gloves. Got to be really careful with gloves. If I put on the plastic gloves, I might have the DMSO breaking down the gloves, and I'm rubbing that on, so whatever's breaking down in the gloves will also go in. And I definitely don't want plastics going into my body. Don't want that at all. So make sure that you are using something natural. So cotton ball, cotton pad, natural fiber, something like that. Also, if you want to put DMSO on your furry friends, maybe your dog, you could do the same thing. And I would recommend, again, cotton ball, cotton pad. And just make sure when you're using DMSO with pets that you're very mindful of the other ingredients that are involved. For example, I can use Royal Warrior on our little dog, Lucy, little golden doodle. Lucy can handle the Royal Warrior. It's got DMSO and frankincense. That's the only essential oil. Frankincense goes well with dogs, but there are other essential oils that don't. For instance, peppermint, melaleuca, which is also called tea tree, wintergreen, and there are others that you don't want to be applying to your dogs. And then there are others for cats. So just be very mindful if you're going to apply DMSO mixed with something else, do a little bit of research. You don't want to be hurting your dog, your cat, your horse, whoever it happens to be, simply because you haven't done the research. So just make sure you do the research, because whatever you combine with the DMSO, once you put it on the skin of your little fur buddies, it's going to be absorbed. Now, it is awesome. DMSO for pets, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Actually, the first time I saw DMSO was when I was a kid at the local feed store, because I grew up on a ranch, and I saw DMSO for horses. Very common. It's a great anti-inflammatory. It helps to heal inflammation, strains, other things with horses. Works really well. You just have to be mindful of which animal and which things play well with it. All right. When you're putting on the DMSO, let's say you're putting it on for knee pain. You want to apply it all of your knee, 6 inches above, 6 inches below. If the pain that I'm feeling, if it feels like it's maybe on the front of my knee, maybe my kneecap, I'll want to put it all over that and all the way around my knee. I want to absorb all the way around, so I'm getting the benefit of the DMSO all the way around the joint, 6 inches up my leg, 6 inches down my leg, just to make sure that I am doing a good job getting the DMSO to the area that needs the attention. Now, how long do you need to use DMSO? Well, it kind of depends. It depends on what it is you're treating. Now, in my case, I have some chronic conditions. I've had 20 orthopedic surgeries, some broken bones, just put on a lot of mileage in my years. So I use DMSO somewhere on myself every day. In fact, several times a day, because I have some chronic ongoing issues and I need the DMSO to help manage those issues. Now, if your problem you're dealing with is fairly new, so we're not in the chronic category, then you may not be someone that needs to use it every day forever like I do. For example, for nerve pain, you might use it 3-4 times a day, and in 3 or 4 weeks, things can be resolved because you can help resolve the inflammation and help some of the tissue that is irritating the nerves, causing the nerve pain, get some of that tissue to settle down. For osteoarthritis, that's where you've worn down maybe the cartilage in your knee. You're probably going to be using it for a very, very long time. The cartilage, for instance, is going to get soothed, you're going to get relief, but it's not likely to completely regrow. So expect you're going to be settling in for a while. Other things could be more short term. If you're using DMSO for shingles, and it's actually pretty awesome. You put on maybe every 4 hours for 4 or 5 days. And after about 48 hours, the rash from the shingles will start to disappear. So it just kind of depends on what you're using the DMSO. As far as what to expect, the relief, depending on what you're doing, can be almost immediate, depending on what you're doing, because DMSO has some analgesic properties. It will help to interfere with nerve signaling, which is what analgesics do, to stop the pain from being registered by your body, by your brain. So that can help. It also helps with muscle cramping. It is a mild muscle relaxant. Sometimes the pain that we perceive has to do with the muscles. Sometimes it's nerve, sometimes it's other tissue. And the relief can be pretty quick, just depending on how quickly things are absorbed. Now, when I'm using one of our products with some of the creams and oils, it's a little bit slower. If I'm using DMSO that is only lightly diluted, I'll get quicker relief. I just have to manage the quicker relief with the irritation that can come with the DMSO. So just kind of experiment a little bit, and then figure out how long-lasting some of your issues are, and then adjust. And as far as recommendations, if you don't know where to start with Royal Warrior, something mellow. It's got frankincense, some other goodness. It is a great place to start. However, the reason I'm bringing this up is we had this issue recently. If you're using something like Royal Warrior cream, don't use it as a massage lotion because it has hyaluronic acid, which is awesome for skin, muscle, joints. It's great, but it also becomes tacky as it's being absorbed. That is not what you want with a massage lotion. You don't want something like that. So don't be using your DMSO or your DMSO cream or your DMSO gel as a massage lotion. Probably don't want to do that anyway, just because you don't want any impurities going in. And you especially don't want to do that unless, well, you just don't want to do that because you need a nice smooth glide when you're putting on that kind of massage lotion. Anyway, hope that's helpful. I hope that helps clarify how to use DMSO. It is an awesome thing to have in your personal or family first aid kit. It's great for managing pain. It's great for managing inflammation. Just figure out how to get it on your body and how often you need it. Again, I use it several times a day. I put it on in the morning before I go to the gym. I put it on after the gym, and then at least one more time during the day because of the kinds of chronic things I deal with. And it is magical. And I can say that without even being a doctor. In fact, I don't even play one on TV, but I know the research and I know from personal experience. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. I hope this gives you some new ideas about how to use DMSO and other natural things to benefit you and to help you hurt less and live more. If you like this content, I hope you subscribe. And don't forget, look down below in the show notes and we'll have a discount for your next order of Herbal Mana products.